And we welcome you courtside at the Pure Sports Center in San Bernardino, California, as we bring you our second match on day number one of our fourth event of the 2022 NVA season. I'm Ira Thor. I'll be riding solo for just a little bit because my partner for match two, Nick England, well, he smells right now. He just completed a man of the match effort as the Las Vegas Ramblers in our first match today were able to take down the Dallas Tornadoes 3-1. So Nick is, doing what most athletes do after a match, and that is showering. So I will be with you. Noah Chass is with us on the sideline. Matt Prosser, he's coaching today as the OC Stunners. They are 4-2 on the year. They have won 3 in a row. Take on the Chicago Untouchables. They are 1-5 on the season, playing this weekend for their playoff lives. Before we get you set for the match, we're going to have our first coach interview of this one. We'll send it to the sideline. Noah Chass joined alongside OC Stunners head coach Matt Prosser.
Yeah, you said it, Ira, here with Matt Prosser, a broadcaster and a head coach of the Stunners. Good to see you over here.
Happy to be here, Noah. Nice to be on this side of the camera for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Get that pretty face out there. And it looks like you have mostly a full squad. Is that correct?
Yeah, we are nearly a full strength today, so excited to get opportunities for everybody to play, but obviously still got to set the bar and take care of business with our good crew that we normally have.
And with most of the crew here, what are you hoping to kind of establish or maybe work on today?
Well, we really got to establish for ourselves first, like the level of expectation and accountability from each guy on the court and what they're supposed to do in each given situation. From that point on, regardless of the scoreboard, we got to take care of what the Untouchables do towards us with our block and defense and backcourt defensive players. And then from there, we can get some looks at maybe some other guys too throughout the match.
This is an Untouchables team with a good amount of talent, maybe lack the coordination to string together some wins. At this point, they're playing spoiler. They're desperate. What are you expecting from them?
I'm expecting their best, and me and the team talked about that in our last practice, that we should expect to see a team come out and play as hard as possible from them. And like you said, play the spoiler, be the team that can take us down when they probably on paper shouldn't. But again, it's really all about us on our side, and we've got to be able to step up to the plate and take care of business.
How do you keep your team's head in it and not kind of underestimate the opponent?
Well, again, it's about how we play, how the Stunners play our own brand of volleyball then compared to who we're playing or how they're playing, right? Because if we play at our level, then we're pretty confident that we can beat anybody in the NBA.
The Stunners looking to play on their level and take care of business here with the Untouchables. Ira, I'll send it back to you and you alone for now.
Me and me alone. It sounds like the theme of a country song, but that is, well, that's our courtside situation right now as we get you set again for the Stunners and the Untouchables. The Untouchables are sitting at 1-5 on the year. They are still mathematically alive. A lot will be told this weekend. Chicago, they come in the year third place in the National Central, having lost to Southern Exposure last time out in 4 sets. Only win of the year came on May 29th during our Memorial Day weekend event when they were able to beat Seattle in 3 sets. And today, the Chicago Untouchables will be coached by Kai Duquem, who is also their backup libero because Coach Lee is not with the team this weekend. In fact, many players and coaches are unavailable this weekend because of youth nationals and some other events happening around the country as part of their day job responsibilities. Matt Prosser, well, take a look. Oh, and they even return pens. Look at that. Matt Prosser, here is the starting lineup he will send out for the National Coastal second place team. That is the OC Stunners, as they look to try to at least keep pace with New Jersey Freedom. Freedom is in first place at 6-0 in the division and the only unbeaten team left in the NVA, but they are shorthanded this week as well and could very easily fall this weekend, which would give the Stunners a chance to battle for the division title as the year progresses. Starting lineup today on the outside will be Joey Jarvis. He wears number 7. The other outside is going to be Matt Hilling, who's been having his best season as a member of the Stunners. He wears number 18. On the right side today will be Jair Santiago. He wears number 15. It's Father's Day weekend, and Jair he and his wife are expecting their first child very soon, so Look for him to have a big weekend, his final weekend before he becomes a dad. The middles today, Nick West, one of the most dangerous blockers in the NVA. Shane Beamer, pretty dangerous himself, wearing number 9 and 3 respectively. Randy Ramirez, number 27, handles the setting. And it'll be Dylan Shigakawa, number 25, at the libero. For the Chicago Untouchables, and hopefully during the match, since Coach DeQuem was not available during the match, we'll be able to have Noah speak with him over on the sideline, but he will send out a lineup that's going to be a little component of first and second teamers in the lineup, some players who haven't seen a ton of action. Ron Dunn is going to get the start at set, wearing number 5. Peter Namiatko, former standout player at NJIT in Division I, he's out there wearing number 21. Kamil Garbowski is one middle, wearing number 30. He'll be joined in the middle by Christian Kozinski, number 28. He's a 6'8 middle out of Hillsborough, New Jersey. Will Ragland is going to be their workhorse, the 6'1 outside from Chicago, wears number 13. He'll be joined on the outside by former Eastern Mennonite University teammate Tim Callahan. And the libero today is Jordan Robinson, the head coach of the New Jersey City University women's team in New Jersey, former player at Sprayfield. There's your lineup out there on the court. Officials for this one, Stephen Shepard is in the R1 chair. Joe Aguiar is our R2. Rena Smith, Robin Burton are on the lines. And Katie Mahoney, give her some love on our official scorer on the sideline. So we are set to begin things. Again, the Untouchables, this is a must-win weekend for them. 1-5 on the season. Doesn't get any easier because, tomorrow they take on the Las Vegas Ramblers. So when your season's on the line, why not just play 2 of maybe the top 4 teams in the NVA?
Yeah, Ira, and I'll keep you company here. And, I'll ask you the
hello,
same
friend.
question. Hello. But I was asking Matt, what are you expecting out of these Untouchables today, really with their backs completely against the walls?
To be frank, I'm expecting the Stunners to win this one in 3. Chicago can show us something depending on how they're able to work together. Peter Namiatko, I think, could be a game changer. He was a great collegiate player at NJIT. Played at a high level, one of the top products to come out of New Jersey high school volleyball in the last decade. Somebody's got to come through today because, for Chicago last year, a very unpleasant finish to their 2021 campaign. Thought that they should have been a team that was going to make more of a difference in the playoffs. Never got there. And right now they are very much in danger of not making it all in 2022. Here is Ron Dunn. He'll get things going in this lineup for the Chicago Untouchables against the defending champion OC Stunners, who begin things with a bang. Matt Hilling. So Randy Ramirez, the 30-year-old setter out of Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. Passes off. That passes off as well, and the Untouchables already looking to be in a funk. That's collected off of the net. Now Miyako with the roll. Matt Hilling swings big, goes over on one, and Nick West, a rare misfire on the overball. He normally will finish that. So the error will send this over to Tim Callahan, who lists himself at 6'2" and 1/4 inch. That extra 1/4 inch sometimes is the difference. Nick West not missing the second try.
He wanted to make everyone at home watching forget about that previous play, and he can do that pretty well and pretty quickly.
That's Noah Chest along for the right. He's also my roommate this weekend. I apologize in advance if I snore.
Ira, it's I anticipated it coming in, so I was mentally prepared.
Was that in my scouting report?
It was in the Ira Thor roommate scouting report. I was ready for it.
Good broadcaster might snore. Good for a joke now and then. Great pass here from Corey. And that allows Nick West, from Joe, I should say, and that allowed Nick West to do his thing.
And just West has such really senior experience compared to the middles on the other side right now. And I think you said he's going to have 1 million blocks today, and just overall net presence will be a factor.
It's all the success that OC has had this year. They've done so without some major pieces that is an ace for Nick West? No. Official says it was long. I thought that fell in. And this will be a side out for Chicago. And the Untouchables will take advantage as the Stunners choose not to challenge. But the Stunners have done it this year without Corey Chaver, have done it without Josh Eisenberg, their standout libero. Josh Nels, well, he's now one of our directors. Dylan Emery hasn't been really needed to be called upon that much this year, as he was a bigger part of the lineup last year. And, well, this OC Stunner squad certainly geared to be a championship contender yet again. Here's future dad Jair Santiago with the serve. Down the line, Namiatko delivers. I said he could be an X factor. It's going to be important for him to get involved offensively on the right side.
And can't ask for a much better pass on a jump serve like that than you just saw from the Untouchables.
And that's going to be key here. They need to be able to pass. They have to give themselves a chance offensively. And that is put away by Joey Jarvis. Well, Nick England has arrived. He is in the building.
Oh, squeaky clean.
Looks definitely a lot sharper than he did, during our man of the match interview. And that is an ace. Joey Jarvis unleashes.
And like you mentioned, that'll be something that'll separate these teams. If the Untouchables can't get their serve receive down and consistent, the Stunners will just pull away in these sets and in this match.
6-4 lead so far for the Stunners. The nifty spot there by Callahan, fooling the block. As the side out goes to Chicago, and I am now joined by the man of the minute, our man of the match, Nick England, just carried on his back the Las Vegas Ramblers to their 6th win of the year as they bounce back from a first set loss and, well, pretty much steamrolled from there, being the Dallas Tornadoes. Say Nick had 14 kills, maybe none as pretty as that one there from Shane Beamer, but he did have a solo block of the top offensive player in the NVA, Felix Chapman. If you missed it, well, go to my Instagram. I also tagged the NVA USA and the Ramblers. My Instagram is, well, my name with my middle initial, Ira P. Thor. And you can see not only the solo stuff by Nick, but his celebration of all celebrations.
If you're not taking a lap, does it even count?
Wait, did Nick block Felix Chapman? Did that happen? I didn't hear that before.
It was real life. It actually happened, just like that ball ping-ponging off of the rafters. And a breakdown for the Stunners here, and Chicago has, well, they have drawn within one. It's 7-6. Yeah, Nick England solo stuffed Felix Chapman. He is the first member of the NVA broadcast team to ever solo stuff Felix Chapman.
I'll take that stat. That's a great stat right there.
Although I think Matt Prosser could probably get the job done too.
Ira, I thought you and me were next.
No, I can't jump that high. That is put away by Hilling. My first match in college, I actually got stuck blocking somebody who was 6'7", might have been taller than that, and we won the match, but it didn't end up well for me that day. Back set here to Callahan. That's outside the antenna. And side out goes to OC. So Nick, we know what you're capable on this side of the camera. But for you to have that effort, the match of your life, and be the man of the match, and that wasn't us messing around with our friend. That was like you earned the man of the match?
Yeah.
What was that moment like for you, brother?
You know, it's when I stopped playing in 2020 at the Utah event, wasn't exactly out on a blaze of glory, playing decent volleyball at best, retired in 2021. I was happy with how I played earlier this year, coming out to help out event 1, and I thought I was done. That was the highest I was going to climb, so pretty surreal. Michael Keegan and I went to the same high school, Brandon Rattray from the same area in San Diego, so we've just kind of grown up through the same programs, played with the same coaches, same high schools, and be able to share a moment with guys like that, guys like with Ryan Schickling, who's been a close friend for a long time, and just for all the boys that couldn't be here today, just a lot of props from them. And we just got it done, and I think that we showed a lot of resiliency, and we show what Rambler volleyball is all about. And for the fans back home, definitely want to be proud of. For the family that tuned in for me and all my friends.
Well, that might be one of the biggest things. You guys were missing major components. No Jordan Hoppe, no Ryan Mather, no Kaveen Vaz, and still made it look easy.
No John Carlson either on the outside. And but that's what it's all about, man. There's no excuses. And if you want to compete in a league like this, you got to have players, you got to have staff, you got to have a roster that's ready to bring it at all times.
And we are going to have a first time out of this match as Kaidu Quem, who's handling coaching duties this weekend for Chicago. He is a Division I head coach as well, but his team falling behind 12-7. We'll take a quick break. Be back for more live here in San Bernardino. Back here at the Pierce Sports Center, here's Will Ragland after the timeout, laying out for that one, Tilling, but can't get there, and Ragland finally on the board.
It's interesting. We talked a little bit this morning in the pregame show about what to expect from the Stunner squad with coach and broadcaster Matt Prosser. And he was talking about, this is the first time we've had our full squad around, and so you see Corey Chavers, one of the top players in the league, now on the bench, and Joey Jarvis and Matt Hilling both off the season in Israel. It just speaks to how much depth is over there. Dylan Emery on the right side behind Jair Santiago. There's just so much depth now, and Stunners have waited all season to have this squad, have the extra guys, and so it's definitely, in a nice spot for them and to see them with plenty of weapons ready to go.
Camille Garbowski just landed an ace, serving again, and then Jair Santiago, one of the more powerful players in the NVA, with the tool of the block. And this Chicago squad, they're hurting right now. They're missing a lot of pieces. Just going down the lineup, no Zakir Pasha this weekend. They don't have Zebra Hoyt. They know Ricchetti, who's been their starting setter. He's on the sideline right now. Austin Neese is not here. No Daniil Pereshkovov, who's been one of their he's been up and down, but one of their top offensive players this year. No Juan Cotes, no Jacob Ustama. Missing a lot of pieces in a weekend where they got to win, or the last event of the year will be for Pride.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but that's what we talked about. Got to bring the boys and keep playing. So Will Ragland, definitely one of those heart players, and he just scored a nice point over the top with a tip there. If there's someone you got to have on the court to make everyone else better, I do like what Will Ragland gets done. He's a big just motivator, so look for him to be a big part of this. Also ex-Freedom players Chris Pazinski, Jordan Robinson, and Ron Dunn out here, so a semblance of a lot of experience playing together with those guys.
That was a great pass by Shigekawa. Blocked back by the Stunners. Ramirez is there. Beamer! Beat me up!
Jeez. A turn on 2 after a great dig there from Ramirez. Shane Beamer getting it done.
Shane just turns and shrugs at the scorer's table. I guess I can do that. Yes, you can. Turn on 2 and blast it down. The Stunners with a 15-10 lead. And here's Jair Santiago. Too long. And goodbye, camera. As I don't know if that's one of our social media cameras
Nope,
or
that
what
is,
back there.
That's a Ron Dunn camera, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no. What are you doing, Ron? We have the footage for you right here. This is professionally produced. Use our film. Everybody needs clips for their social media now, man. Don't make a live in a moment, Nick. You lived in a moment. You celebrated a block of Felix Chapman.
Yeah, you can go look at 2020. I got back-to-back blocks on the Stunners as well. Had the same celebration. His little throwback. To any fans that have been around since 2020, you'll see the exact same footage. I'm sure it'll end up on the social media somewhere.
I've already shared your celebrations all over my social.
Yep.
Hopefully it goes viral. It should. Santiago dropping bombs from the back row.
Man, he's just got so much weight behind that swing. That, when you see a swing that deep, usually the trajectory kind of just skips out the back. That bounced.
So in the last match, we were talking about who are the most powerful hitters in the league, who puts the most power behind their attacks. And, Felix Chapman was number 1 on the list. I had Chad Mercado up there, but I'll tell you what.
No, in my experience, having played with and against Jair Santiago, number 1, no questions asked. Brandon Rattray, number 2.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of just the takeoff, right? Just how much power generated.
Oh, okay. I'm talking pop off the hand. I've taken.
Brandon Rattray's got pop that's just unmatchable.
Some concussion swings from Jair Santiago.
Jair Santiago, that was a complete faux pas not mentioning him in the same breath as a Felix Chapman. Difference is when Jair is not on, he struggles out there. And for the Stunners to be successful in this postseason again, they need to keep him on.
Very different expectations and roles in their team. I think it's a great point to bring up, but the Stunners are just so healthy.
That was a healthy-looking swing. Mr. Jarvis doing some damage.
Very close to going over, but great no call there by our team. He was...
So here is Shane Beamer. He can turn and do bad things in the blink of an eye. And that is outside the antenna by Namiatko. And the Stunners are making this non-competitive very quickly. It's 20-12. We'll see a substitution here and entering the match for the OC Stunners. Hey, look who it is. The aforementioned Corey Chavers. He's back. Back again. Look who's back.
Matt's got hands. That finishes the line, right?
I think that's
Matt Hilling with
NVA Slim Shady style.
Yep.
And so far, Chicago leads 1-0 with Corey Chavers on the court.
That was a little blocking sub. Matt Hilling, someone that had to set for this team last year. So he just stepped in over to the right side there. He's definitely a role player. He can play literally anywhere on the court, middle blocker included. His court vision and experience is second to none in this league. So he's one of those guys that just does it all.
I mean, we could make a case that if we were giving a most improved player in the NBA this year, that Matt Hilling would be in that conversation, and that will be on his resume for the award. A year ago, Matt Hilling was an important cog in this Stunner. Ooh, that is stuffed right back in his face. As Namiatko with the rare one-on-one stuff of Santiago. He'll just shake that off. But to finish the thought, last year, there's so many international players on the Stunner squad that, outside of Joey Jarvis, and of course Nick West and Shane Beamer, who were dominating the middle. You know, Matt didn't have to do that much, right? He could be one of the best role players in the NVA.
Yeah.
He has taken his game this year, especially with the year that he had in Israel.
Yes.
The confidence and the swagger that he has coming back. He's a completely different player, and that's when I say most improved, that's what I mean, because he has had matches where he's completely taken over by himself. That will carry him off the ceiling, stay on the Chicago's side, and they will dump it over. Oh, Nick West nearly had trouble with that. But Santiago has no trouble with that. Nearly decapitates Jordan Robinson.
At 22-15, it just feels like there's too much firepower maybe coming from the side of the Stunners. And something you talk about is the veteranship of these guys. They've been there. They've seen it all. They've played in top leagues all over the world between them. National teams, France, Germany. And, you know, they know when not to make the mistakes themselves. Right now, they're not giving the Untouchables any leeway. They're not having to do too much. So everyone out here just playing a nice, clean game from the Stunners, and that's something you want to see from a team like this as they make their late season push.
Matt Hilling will try to bring the Stunners closer, but he misses fires here. Here is Camille Garbowski from Clifton, New Jersey. That one too long. (24-16), 8 set points for Nick West to roast. Off the tape, Robinson with the pass. And that will be 1 set point staved off as Pazinski. 6-8 middle with the finish. And here is Peter Namiatko. Hilling handles that one, makes it look easy. And Joey Jarvis with the spin move, 180 kill dump for the win as the OC Stunners, no problem here in game number 1, 25-15. Matt Prosser's boys continue to roll. We'll take a break and come back for set number 2 live here in San Bernardino. Back here courtside, Ira Thor, Nick, man of the match, England, and we also have our James Bond spy, Noah Chast, on the sideline. He's got some feedback for us on Chicago's woes.
Well, hopefully you guys can hear me right now, but like you mentioned, there's a lot of Untouchables not here, and I found out the reasoning for some of that. Austin Neese had a toe or a foot injury. Could not make it, could not play. Zakir Pasha tested positive for COVID, unfortunately. Now, outside of those, Daniel Pereshkovov and some of the other players, that's being listed as personal decisions as that ball is hammered home and the Untouchables get the kill. There's been a lot of discussion on the Untouchables sideline with some frustration about maybe coaching or management decisions, in-game adjustments, and when you're losing like they are, that's bound to happen, right? And at this point, there's some players that are making the personal decision not to make the trek when they don't see a bright outcome on their future.
Man, that is troubling words. I got to tell you, as someone that helps run a team, to hear that that's what's going on. The more the league grows, the management of expectations of players, of personalities, it's a very, very real thing. And that's what's always so interesting about this, a league like this, is, there's a lot of firsts. People are getting the first experience and a first chance to do that. Not a lot of people necessarily have experience managing other adults, managing their expectations. And to be frank, every guy out here was their all-star on their team at some point. So setting expectations about what their role is, that's critically important to a team's success. And you're hearing about it, a little insight there from Noah. That's how it can impact the teams.
Having been a collegiate administrator, and still am, just not, I'm no longer full-time in athletics, but something that I always found intriguing, and it goes exactly with coaching. It's not always about managing talent. It's managing egos.
Yep.
And when you have egos that, when the egos are more powerful than the will of the team, well, then you got to make tough choices.
Yeah, we actually heard about that early on from the Stunners in some of their post-game interviews. They talked about the fact that they are just these powerhouse teams. That's going to be a back row violation. Ron Dunn going over a nice intelligent block touch there by Beamer to wrap my point up. That was something we heard from the Stunners early on, was they said, these guys are all coming off being the top guy on their team overseas. Figuring out what your roles and responsibilities are on the team is step one to figuring this all out, and that's what you've got to do. That will lead to being, one of the best teams in the NVA.
And one thing on that note is, winning heals all, right? And if you're on a winning team and you're maybe not playing as much, you don't agree with the roster construction, but you're winning, you probably keep your opinion to yourself. But when things start going wrong and you start losing, that's when you hyper-focus on the things you disagree with, and that's when tension builds and, in some cases, breaks.
Yeah. Great insight. That you could not be more right, and I see that all the time, and that's, it's the unfortunate reality, but, these teams need to find the right personnel on the back office as well that are ready to handle those, those tasks.
Again, it goes back to ego management. Again, it's a bad example, but I remember being in high school, I was behind in the lineup, the state player of the year. We were number 1 team in the state, number 7 in the country. I wasn't going to see a ton of time over him.
Right.
And you know what? I was good with that because we were winning.
Like Noah said, the old adage, winning heals all.
Always hated losing more than I enjoyed winning, though. And winning heals all, but losing opens up wounds.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Here is Matt Hilling. Oh, sidewinder on that one. Raglan off of the shoulder.
Another dig off the shoulder.
And Matt Hilling, that's just too much firepower for this Stunner squad, who have made a change here.
A lot of changes.
Oh, a lot of changes, yes. But we have Corey Chavers out there getting the start in this one. But Antonio Aguizola is out there. He's number 14, the shoulder dig master.
And they've moved Matt Hilling to the right side with Jair Santiago taking a breather this match.
And Nick West also is out. I stand corrected. Antonio is not in the middle. He was just there on that rotation.
So what they've done is they've switched their two outsides, so that's gone from Joey and Matt to Antonio Anguzola and Corey Chavers. And then Matt Hilling's moved to the right side, giving Jair Santiago a breather. Middles, setter, libero, staying the exact same. But that is a timeout, so we're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Back here courtside, Matt Hilling looking to continue the lead. Robinson with the pass, and that is blocked down, but kept alive by Chicago. The Untouchables can't get it over this Stunner squad. They finally do, and Raglan gets it to fall. And that ends what is a 4-point run for the Stunners. They now lead 7-4. I think Matt Prosser is going to challenge, though, however, whether that was in or out. I haven't seen a challenge yet in this match. Again, if you're not familiar with the NVA's challenge system, you get up to 3 challenges in the first through 4 sets. If you win the challenge, you keep it. If you lose the challenge, well, you lost the challenge, you don't get it back. But you know, so far we've seen most, I'd probably say in the last 2 events, majority of the challenges have actually been won. So unless coaches are using strategically as an extra timeout or to stop momentum, they're challenging at the right times.
And an interesting challenge, Ira, because the R1 ruled that in, and so did the far line judge, but the close line judge on Coach Matt Prosser's side did rule it out and was overruled. Maybe he's trusting kind of the judgment and the angle of himself and the close line judge on that call.
We're looking at the screen now. We're going to hear about this shortly.
That looks like it's on the line. I think that is a good call. And it looks like Matt Prosser and company are going to lose this challenge.
Nick West goes to the bench, starts pointing at the guys and blaming them, because if you're on the bench, that's exactly where you're standing, is on the back line. That is your responsibility and your call. Blockers call touches. Attackers call their own swings. And that one's your job. So bench getting beat there.
Over on 1, can the Untouchables get something going here? As they were just annihilated in that first set. Matt Hilling hitting from the right side, able to put it away. So they'll forget about the fact that they lost this challenge and serve it away. Here will be Antonio Anguzola. Anguzola is 6'6". He's one of the youngest players in the league. He's still only 21 years old, out of Chiriquí, Panama.
Ooh, gets a big dig there.
And that can't be saved by Ramirez, so that goes down as a kill for Chicago by Pazinski. Now, this is just for the Untouchables, just unfortunate scheduling, having to play both the Stunners and the Ramblers this weekend. And they have to play the Freedom and the Tyrants this year. You know, they are members of the National Central. There are 12 teams in the NVA. The first and the 5th events of the season, you play teams within your division. So for Chicago, that is the LA Blaze and the Texas Tyrants, who are all playing at a high level right now. The National Central does not play the American Central this year. So that means the Untouchables do not play the Kraken, the Stingers, or the Tornadoes. Meanwhile, the OC Stunners in the National Coastal with the New Jersey Freedom, which is the only unbeaten team left in the NVA, but also the Seattle Sasquatch, one of our expansion teams, who come in at 1-5. So, you know, they will play this weekend the Untouchables and then the Tornadoes. But then in our July event, our 5th event of the season, They will take on the Freedom and the Stunners. I'm sorry, the Freedom. They'll take on. They are the Stunners. The Freedom and the Sasquatch to close out the regular season. So, you know, you would think for the Stunners they'll at least split that at worst case scenario. So they're in a great
they're
spot.
in a great spot. Yep.
Of course, the Stunners, by virtue of being in the National Coastal, do not play the American Coastal this year. And that is the Ramblers, Southern Exposure, and the Matadors. Corey Chavers scorching the line. Robinson tries to slip it outside. Tip is covered here by Chicago. Will Ragland down the line, and he gets it to go. Four-point lead now for the Stunners over the Untouchables, trying to hang around here. Here's Tim Callahan to serve. And Matt Hilling able to stick it through a triple block for another kill. Grabowski is swinging away, and he's able to get the result. So side out for Camille Grabowski. And he pulls off the ace. So Grabowski with back-to-back points here for Chicago. They're hanging around down 3. That's too long. Grabowski, who played his collegiate ball at Kane University in New Jersey. Here is Nick West, the former D1 standout. Robinson with the pass. And that is going to be the rare double call. We don't see a ton of those at this level, but referee Stephen Shepard says that was too much. Another big serve by Nick. They go to Will Ragland, and he finds the spot.
Yeah, that's a great swing there.
Substitution here, and we're going to see a serving change. We'll see Peter Nemiatko come out, and for the first time today, here is Noah Ricchetti out of Barrington, Illinois, for Sacred Heart Pioneer. Ramirez, nice back set to Hilling, who gets it done.
It's impressive to watch the swing trajectory there of Hilling. Goes up, catches that one high on his hand, so not a lot of snap on the ball, but he kind of just floats it deep in the court. No one even close to digging that ball. Just a great offensive effort from 18.
Hilling left that one short. So here's Will Ragland. Line drive float. Beamer swinging away. That's covered by Pazinski.
Ragland swing left on that.
He's able to use both hands. And Matt Hilling, my goodness, he just continues to find ways to score points for this Stunner squad. Matt Hilling has 8 kills. That leads all players easily right now. Now 9 kills with that one added to the column. And here's Antonio Anguzola. Too long. So we rotate into the service of Christian Baczynski from Hillsborough, New Jersey, and the Rutgers University product lands the ace. Way more secure than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beamer. Baczynski's there. Reach out and stuff someone. Shane Beamer, Randy Ramirez getting the block on Tim Callahan. As Nick West rotates back in, Shane Beamer to serve with his team up by 4 after a convincing Game 1 25-17 decision.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be looking at, but I have it open.
Callahan will dump this one over. Popped up nice and high to allow Corey Chambers to swing away. Chambers, Beamer come together. Another chance for Chicago and a misfire by Garbowski, too long. And the OC Stunners continue to work with prosperity. Ragland has to stop on a dime, and there. Corey Chambers splits the block.
The offensive pressure right now from the OC Stunners is just simply too much. Chicago Untouchables have to take a timeout there, down by 6. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Back here courtside as the Untouchables, that one never cleared the net. And the Stunners pulling closer to the finish line, now up by 7 in Game 2. There's Beamer. Robinson did a lot with that. And that is
Just
a misfire. All Robinson had a pass that allowed Chicago to attack, but Callahan missing wide on that line shot.
All right, here's a fun one for you. Heading into this match, Nick West, block leader for the NVA, 34 blocks. Next closest guy, Austin Levitt on the Tyrants with 23. He is double digits ahead of the next closest blocker. Nick West, someone that played his volleyball both split between UC Irvine and University of Hawaii before heading overseas and playing in some of the top leagues. His hand discipline and game understanding and IQ is just, it is top notch. He last year was one of the best middles in the league, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. And
I actually sat down and chatted with Nick West, and this is something that I'll be going into a little deeper tomorrow during the Stunners match, but he's got a very interesting story as to how he became such a good blocker, because he wasn't always like that even in his collegiate days, and I don't want to give away too much, but it's a very interesting Nick West story.
Is this what we would call in the business a teaser?
I am teasing this story.
Tickling the interest.
Noah Chast is walking clickbait. Officials starting to look at us as Camille Garbowski keeps Chicago alive with the kill.
A lot of quick little pokes there and some scrappy volleyball, but Untouchables able to prevail in the end, which is going to bring Piotr Namiotko back.
Still a big hill to climb now. What was a 3-point deficit is now 9, and we've seen this now twice, that the Untouchables in the latter third of a set, Nick, are almost packing it in. Cannot be successful if they aren't going to play it to the finish line.
It's so hard to compete with the Stunners on that level. Like, if you just don't have the weapons, it's
at some point it catches up to you.
Yeah, you can't come out and be flat. You can't make hitting errors. You've just got to go blow for blow with them, and if the guys aren't ready to do it, you know, you're going to see the OC Stunners just walk away with it, and that's where last year they felt just unparalleled with their presence right around this part of the season last year. So we're kind of seeing that true return to form here as Corey Chavers just bangs that one through a solo block.
And Randy Ramirez will serve for the set. Are the Stunners the best team in the NVA? I think that's an open conversation, even with 2 losses on the year.
Yeah.
Do they have the best tandem of middles in the NVA? And to me, that answer is definitely yes right now.
Yeah, the middle 1-2 punch is certainly, you know, there for an argument. Freedom, Seifert's putting up a huge argument for himself. Matt Knigge, the Spanish Superliga middle playing for the Ramblers right now, is lights out. So there's definitely an upgrade in that position. A lot of teams have recognized that's the improvements that need to be made.
And back-to-back kills here for Chicago. Well, they're not done just yet. They'll be able to shave off 3 set points, but still down 24-17. But in terms of 1-2 punch, I mean, I can't think of another 1-2 punch in a league I'd rather have out there. I think Knigge, Kavin Vaz right now is an interesting second choice.
Antoine Aguiard's getting the start for the Ramblers over Kavin at the moment.
Aguiard obviously in that conversation as well. And, you know, I mean, if you are other teams, it's going to be as you get closer to that August championship long weekend, which we hope to have some big news about pretty soon. It's how do you keep the passing of the Stunners off?
Yeah,
that way the middles won't get involved.
Just hit serve after serve. Hope for your block touch to slow things down. Great point by Josh Nels in the chat. That's what's so crazy. We talked about Nick West with 34 blocks. Austin Lovett with 23 behind him. Right on his heels is Shane Beamer, the second middle at 22. So,
and that backs up exactly what we're talking about.
I mean, it's just the higher you get in your level of play, obviously you love a middle that's hitting very and scoring well, but when you're getting blocks like that, that tells a story that is every hitter's worst nightmare.
Well, we'll tell more stories about the blocking prowess of the Stunners after a 25-18 win here in Game 2, and we'll be back for more. Join us again in just 2 minutes for set number 3. taking a look at our numbers through our first 2 sets, and it's been all stunners, as you've been able to tell, even if you just tuned in, looking at the scores 17-18. The stunners are hitting 58% as a team, and what stands out to me, Nick, just 2 attack errors in 2 sets. Meanwhile, the Untouchables hitting 33%, 13 attack errors. They are just not able to find a groove right now.
Yeah, and that's what, again, we talk about the importance of blocking. We were talking about how Wes had 34, 22 for Beamer. That's terminal blocks. That's not talking about the block touches or maybe even blocks that they're getting that other people are getting stouted for. It really speaks to how much they control the pace of the game by just controlling the net. We'll see if Untouchables has anything we haven't seen yet, but I think this one might be all but done in the books here.
That one will fall in. Corey Chambers swinging, and Namiatko and Garbowski had no idea where that was.
Dylan Emery now replacing Matt Hilling on the right side, so they've used a different right side every single match, just getting plenty of playing time for everyone. Emery, one of the longest standing players in the league, has been with it since its inception in 2017. He's been with this squad for all of that time. So he's definitely the most veteran player on this OC Stunners team in terms of longevity with this squad.
Dylan's still a young man, not even 31 years old yet, 6'5" out of Fountain Valley, California, I guess.
So I have to ask, now that you say that he's not even an old man yet, did you call me an old man during my match last match?
Let me get this straight. I and Matt did not discuss your age. However, your lovely newlywed wife, Ariana, did indeed, during the broadcast, call you old. It is on the videotape.
She has every right to, and she has done that at home.
Don't worry, my wife does the same thing.
I'm just asking if you guys did.
Ollie may have called you old. I think I heard
yeah. So we were reading.
Oh, good save. It's live.
Noah Chest was, it was like watching a UFC interview where oh God, Nick West made me forget what I was talking about.
Finish that
Nick
point later.
West, boom. That is why he is the human highlight reel, not just on the court, but with some of his NVA USA social antics, short films.
Yeah, he's been doing those for us. He also makes glow-in-the-dark skateboards. Handmade. Another fun fact for you there.
See, if I'm Nick, I am now having my own Nick West version of coffee. That is a missed opportunity. He needs his own brand. What are you doing, Nick West?
That's the other fun one. Yeah, I've talked about that before, but he measures his coffee consumption in pots.
He needs to have his own brand.
Floor.
Yeah, but it was like during a UFC fight where you have the interview and you have to have a translator. So Noah was actually translating Ollie's grunts and scratches, and your dog basically said you're older than him in dog years.
Yeah,
but it's true though, because your dog's what, 4 in dog years? Oh my! Will Ragland finally gets involved in the conversation.
That's the swing the team needs. A little bit of an energy response there, and it can't be understated how important that is to really get these guys fired up and going. So, talked early on in the match about Will Ragland's roles and responsibilities, and can't understate that one there. Love to see him getting involved.
So, that's good for Chicago that Ragland's getting involved. That is his 7th kill. But the rest of the team combined has only 13.
Yeah, that's a tough spot. Man, Shane Beamer had his head over the net for that swing there. That was just absolutely disgusting.
Shane Beamer is 6'6" out of Burbank, California.
Played his volleyball at UCSD, Triton.
I called one of their matches when they came east this year. Well, Raglan able to tool the block of Beamer Ramirez. When the UC San Diego Tritons came to Newark, New Jersey, Brick City,
Oh, there you go.
take on NJIT, where Peter Namiatko went to school. He is, of course, since graduated. That's too long by Raglan. There's not a ton of collegiate volleyball at the Division I level on the East Coast outside some of your longer serving EIVA powers like Penn State and obviously Princeton and NJIT and Harvard. But Kai Duquem, who is coaching today for Chicago, is the assistant coach for the Long Island University Sharks. They just began a brand new Division I program out on Long Island, New York. He was actually coaching as an assistant with Jordan Robinson with the NJC women's team, but the LIU job opened up, and he's living in Brooklyn and he's coaching at LIU right now. And that is a program to watch out for. Obviously they're very young. They're like basically almost like an expansion franchise like we have here in the NVA, but they have been filling their roster with some West Coast talent and some strong East Coast guys. Keep an eye on for them. They're a program on the rise.
It's always an interesting thing when you talked about the prowess of the guys coaching. It's always crazy to see how many of these guys have coached also. So when you get into problem solving in real time, quite a few of these players, especially the more experienced rosters, they've got guys that have been there and seen it all. And that's, kind of one of those unspoken soft skills that really contributes to how some of these teams mesh. It's like, how would I coach my own guys or myself doing this? And they just apply it themselves.
Here's Ron Dunn. Played his collegiate volleyball at Kane University. Misses that one well wide.
8-7 right now. Some errors being exchanged. Chicago's doing their very best to apply the pressure. And they're not yet, I would say, being penalized for their errors. They're playing some aggressive, some volleyball right now, but they've just got to start mitigating their errors to the best of their ability. And maybe they sneak a set here in the third. Bump set to the outside, a roll shot. Chavers backpedaling. Miscommunication between him and Shigikawa. That one's going to fall nicely there for number 20. A little bit of a sigh of a relief, tied at 8s.
I'm going to look here at Tim Callahan, the serve. Harrisburg, PA native. He'll be 26 years old later this month.
Great scoop from Dunn.
Garbowski attacking on 2. And that gives Chicago its first lead of the day.
Yep. Anguizzola not quite ready for that one to come over on 2. Little crafty shot from Garbowski.
Here's Chavers swinging away and gets the touch.
Chavers, the 2021 NVA MVP. We haven't seen as much of him yet this season, but you can expect you'll see a lot of him this weekend, next weekend, in the finals, in event number 6 as well. This is where he really comes in and shines.
As he demonstrates there, laying it out, but couldn't keep it on the court. Just wild to me, though, that a guy who was the MVP of the league last year has been basically a role player since coming back this year because the Stunners are that deep.
Yeah. You couldn't be more right. And I think that's really the thing that Matt Prosser has been adding to this squad is how do you get the likes of Chavers, Hilling, Joey Jarvis, and Jair Santiago all on the court at the same time, because obviously you can't, but what's the right mix?
And that one a little too high there as Anguizzola not able to swat it back onto the court. So Chicago, it's a 2-point lead, 11-9. See how they work with some prosperity here for the first time today. And Dylan Emery ducking out of the way. Here's Nick West. Nick West has 4 kills, a block, and an ace so far today. He's accounted for 6 points. Too long.
Little chatter through the net, getting stopped in its tracks. Piot leaves that one short. You know, this is that, if you're Untouchables, you're really doing your best to claw your way back in. And once you get a little bit of a lead, then you get some breathing room to continue being as aggressive as possible, trying to get stunners out of system, but still got some space before they feel that lead effectively.
This is coming our way. And Randy Ramirez ran out of real estate. I mean, he could have kept going, but Noah Chast would have been, you know, basically wiped off the face of the earth, and we can't have that. Noah lost his cell phone in the process, so.
I saved my laptop before I saved myself, so.
Yeah, always got to save the laptop, and what a dig there by Jordan Robbins, just wiping up the floor with his hands. See if we can get that ISO. Great play by Jordan Robinson, the libero for Chicago. And that finally falls in by Agazola. But Robinson laid out for an incredible dig, got up, and with his hands was wiping down the sweat on the court so he can gain traction to get in position for the next pass. It was almost like he was drowning and trying to swim off the court.
On the side of the Stunners, Dylan Emery saw Chavers all the way off the court, told him stay right. Nice little defensive shift there. And you'll see Chavers picking up that dig from right back. Heads up play, that's some of the experience that you'll see from these guys. Also worth noting for the fans at home, San Bernardino, California wastes no time getting a little bit warm and humid. So this morning you were seeing quite a few sweat wipe downs, and that's only going to continue throughout the day as things heat up here.
I will tell you, I walked in this building at 7:31 a.m.
Yep.
Not early enough for you, apparently. And it was steaming in here already. The AC had not been turned on. It's better now. Currently here in San Bernardino, it is only 79 degrees. Supposed to be 83 today, so you know this is actually kind of pleasant weather, but it's going to get hot next week. 97, 96, 97. The summer is here in the Inland Empire. It is going to be roasting by the time we get back here for the 5th event of the season. That will be the end of the regular season, July 8th, 9th, and 10th. Here's Beamer to serve. Off the tape. The tape monster gets Chicago. $14 apiece here in game 3. Callahan cross court gets the connection.
Wow, that was, I mean, I thought he was just going to rip that one way wide of the court, but gets a nice tag on the line on the way by. Chicago Untouchables right now showing some signs of life, trying to get a little bit of momentum going.
Well, they need more out of Callahan. That's just his 6th kill. And here's Ron Dunn out of Collingswood, New Jersey, your server. Nick West just too exact.
Goes over the top of the block. The vertical prowess and presence that you see these Stunners middles occupy is just absolutely absurd.
One-point lead for the Stunners. Reach out and stuff someone. Corey Chavers sends us to a technical timeout with the rejection of the Untouchables. 16-14, the Stunners on top. 16-15, I should say, the Untouchables on top, as the Untouchables are trying to keep alive any hope. We'll see if they do when we return. OC on top. Back here courtside, I decided to bring some energy this time. Unlike that weak timeout I just sent you all to. We'll see if the Untouchables have any energy or they will fall in 3 today. Corey Chambers saying, slug this.
Man. And that's really where you get into the problems. Nick West already established as a middle. Chambers just one of the most offensive outsides in the league. And you got Emery, who scores extremely efficiently on the right side. Where do you block? You just kind of hope that you find a touch, but too much there for the Stunners.
That's blocked back by West, and then a mishandle. We've seen trouble all day with those doubles. That slippery ball and the Untouchables find themselves in a hole. But, I mean, Nick, man, we look over at the bench here, and the guys that are not on the court right now. You got Matt Hilling, you have Jair Santiago, you have Joey Jarvis. This is going to be a team that I just don't see as a team that's going to beat them when all is on the line in anything but a dogfight.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I've said since day one. Regardless, I've been waiting for this roster to be there. This is the team that they're returning every single guy that just won him a national championship, except for Nick Amato, who's now replaced by Shane Beamer. And then on the in the libero position, Josh Eisenberg, unable to make his return this season. The team was hoping to get him, but unable to do so, off of winning in Tel Aviv, Israel this year for the second year, I believe maybe the third year in a row, alongside other USA teammates, JT Hatch, as well as Olympian Kyle Insing. But no Eisenberg this season means that Dylan Shigikawa, a product of UCI Club Volleyball, Go Eaters, as well as, so he was a teammate with me there while we were second in the nation, and prior to that, played his ball at community college at Moore Park University, where he played with the Ramblers' Josh Duarte.
And based on Coach Matt Prosser's remarks to me this morning, or earlier this match, this is going exactly how he would like it to go. This is the first time they've had their roster this filled in an event, and he said he wanted to try different lineups, put guys in different places. So it's really been the perfect time for the Stunners to see who works where if needed.
That is too long by Chicago. Now, the Stunners, again, they're 4-2 with a win when improved to 5-2 and pretty much solidified their playoff appearance this year. I think it'll be almost mathematically an improbability that they wouldn't find a way in. But you look at their losses this year. They lost in 4 to New Jersey Freedom. New Jersey Freedom is the only unbeaten team left in the NVA, and the Stunners did not have a full roster that day. That was on April 10th in our first event. In the next match on May 6th in our second event, they also lost to the Tyrants, who also only have one loss on the season, and losing 27-25 in that fourth set. That could have easily gone 5.
Yep.
That's when they finally had a more maxed out roster. Maybe not everybody, but more of a championship-looking roster.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You're hitting the nail on the head there.
So, for the Stunners, the 2 losses are good losses, right?
Yeah,
they lost to a very good New Jersey team when they were maybe at 85%.
Right.
And they lost to a Tyrant squad that also has championship aspirations when they were probably at 95%.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're going to lose big.
Team Freedom, or New Jersey Freedom, another squad that they are bringing a very limited roster this weekend. We're not going to see Matt Seifert. We're not going to see Ian Kapp. No Jake Nolnazik will be here. But just a variety.
There's no Tim Ferreter.
No Tim Ferreter. No Doug Zema. They are very limited on the personnel. But again, you still look at the guys, and you got to step up and play. And there's still plenty of weapons there. So I think they've battled through a lot of their tougher matchups for the season. So at this point, I think they're still going to be just fine.
Well, they'll play the LA Blaze tomorrow, who are maybe the most improved team in the NVA this year, as that is put down by Chicago. Carlo Edra, who is the head coach for New Jersey, flew out on the same flight as Joe Norman, who is their other top offensive weapon. He is here, and he was joking about how Joe Norman at 6'9" eats a lot.
Yeah.
He ate before they got on the flight. He ate immediately after they got off the flight. I'm like, just keep feeding him, and I didn't just mean that on the plane. I'm talking about offensively this weekend if they're going to have any shot.
I like it.
What a nice setup, Ira. That was good.
Yeah. Corey Travers there gets a massive kill, unable to be handled. All 3 touches from Chicago, but none of them send the ball over.
By the way, Carlo Edra, Team Freedom and Company are actually watching this match, or at least some of them are in the far right seating area. Carlo Edra is sitting there right now.
A lot of mix over. The Chicago Untouchables squad is split between Pennsylvania and Chicago, so a lot of guys in that Philadelphia area have also been a part of the New Jersey Freedom banner at some point in their volleyball career as one of the most veteran and experienced names in adult volleyball.
And Corey Chavers delivers, and that will give the OC Stunners 4 match points, leading 24-20. That will fall in as Chicago staves off 1.
I think you picked Randy here, just talk about how he's running offense with, he had 3 different lineups, scoring effectively, doing.
Match point number 2. And Corey Chavers finishes it with a bomb down the line. The Stunners punctuate a 3-set victory as they knock off the Untouchables 25-21. And they are victorious in 3 sets, 25-17, 25-18, 25-21. With the win, the OC Stunners improved to 5-2 on the year. They have won 4 in a row. And they still are in second place in the National Coastal, but they are getting better as the season continues. Meanwhile, Chicago Untouchables, I don't know where they go from here as they fall to 1-6 on the year. They are in 3rd place in the National Central. Their only win is against Seattle, and they have to deal with the Las Vegas Ramblers tomorrow. It's getting very, very late in the season now if you're Chicago.
It certainly is, and you know, when we take a step back and look at this in terms of expectations, hopes, and what it means for these teams, on the side of the OC Stunners, I don't think that there's really, my takeaway here isn't focusing on their win, but the importance of how they did it and the way that it impacts this roster. Because we talk about so much of how many key players they have, who can play what. Hilling can play outside, right side. You've got Santiago as well as Emery on the right. So right now they feel like a bunch of chefs finding the right recipe for the one that when they've got to serve their best dish, they're going to have that dialed in. And that's what's been so great adding Matt Prosser into that squad this season is he's adding that veteranship. He's been there as a player. He's coached at a high level. And so these guys really are just coming together nicely, really when it matters. Now that we've added 2 more events this season as well, they've got some more time to get things going, so their work is paying off.
And I think that's a key point right now, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we close out the program. But first, we'll send it over to Noah Chest. He's with our man of the match, Randy Ramirez, the quarterback at setter for this OC Stunner squad.
Yeah, Ira, you said it. Randy Ramirez, our man of the match, and it seemed like you guys had a different lineup out there every set, but you still got everyone involved. What does that say about your team?
Well, that's what team sports is. It's all about. We were able to have everyone play today. Everyone stepped up, did their thing, and regardless of who was out there, we kept playing our Stunners level volleyball, and that's what it's all about.
As a setter, the one who runs the offense, what faith do you have in all the different weapons?
I have weapons all around. I've told these guys, I feel like I'm a kid in Disneyland because I have so many great hitters. Like, I always have great options, pins, middles, big. So they make the job really easy for me.
And you guys are starting to get finally closer to a full squad. How fun is that to have all of your weapons around you?
Oh, what more can I ask for? Yeah, it's good to be finally having a complete team, especially now because we're later on in the season, close to the playoffs. So we try to mingle as much as we can and get ready for playoffs.
We've seen sometimes teams maybe drop a set they shouldn't or let teams kind of overtake them. 3 straight sets, you were in control the entire time. How'd you do it?
Well, Prosser has been telling us to always keep our level. We've been struggling earlier events with that. We've been up and down, and he's been really pushing on us having the same level throughout the entire game, and today we were able to do that. So.
Definitely an exciting team to watch, the team to look out for. Congratulations on the win. Randy Ramirez, our man of the match in a 3-0 sweep. Nick, back to you.
What am I?
Yeah,
Am I chopped liver here?
Excuse me, sir.
I'm just
Everyone,
gonna-
thank you so
go
much
home.
for
Nick and
coming
Ira.
back. We love to see it. That's a great to hear from the quarterback himself. So many offensive options, a lot going on there. Noah, in your expert. Ira, and your expert analyst, we're just throwing it all over the place here.
Man, I am being disrespected. Where's my agent? We need to have a renegotiation right now. This is unacceptable workplace attitudes right now.
Yep.
Something we were talking about, though, before we sent it over to Noah for him to have that great interview with Randy and then insult me and my integrity, was just how the difference in this season now that last year was 3 regular season events and then obviously the championship weekend, and now with the expansion not only of the schedule but with 2 additional teams in the league and the seasons spread out from what really was a compacted format to now being, hey, you're playing consistently every 3 weeks and a lot of time to gel. We're seeing the difference on the court, seeing the opportunity for these teams to go back to the lab and work on what's ailing them. And the Las Vegas Ramblers squad's a great example of that.
Yeah.
How is that going to impact these teams most as we get to these final 2 events? As not only are they bidding to get into the postseason, Nick, but now are really able to kind of control their own destiny a lot more.
Yeah, so the importance here, one of those conversations that we always hear with the NVA and high-level volleyball is when you look at D1 players, they're playing 5 days a week. These guys 2 to 3, maybe 4 days a week together, and it's hard, right? Because some of these guys are maybe on overseas contracts before coming back home, and a lot of the bench players are working a 9 to 5 regular job. So getting everyone involved, it's difficult, and that's one of those things that the better teams are able to continue pushing that edge. But one of the things that you do see that you don't at the collegiate level is how much experience these guys have. They've been playing with players from all over the world. Yeah. They've been playing in Champions League matches. They've played in Italy, France. They've played at the very best. And when they all come back home and bring that experience home, you start training with guys that are doing things that they're learning every year. And that experience, at 30 years old, I joke about it as the old man. For a lot of players, that's your prime, because you've now spent 6-7 years continuing to grow physically, but more importantly, growing mentally. So when you talk about the teams to be watching here at the end of the season, look at their lineups, look at the rosters, the guys on the court. Who has that experience? Because that's what matters in the most difficult matches.
That's a great England insight here as we close out our second match of the day. Our third match, it's a good one. You'll want to see this. It's a 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern first serve as Southern Exposure takes on the Texas Tyrants. Southern Exposure, another team that, well, let's face it, they are playing for their postseason.
Yeah.
They were our semifinalists last year, and if things ended right now, they may not be part of the playoff picture. They're taking on a Tyrant squad that has only lost once this year. Tomorrow, the OC Stunners will be back in action. They will take on the Dallas Tornadoes, who fell to the Las Vegas Ramblers today in 4 sets. And the Chicago Untouchables will also take on the Las Vegas Ramblers. A couple of numbers I do want to point out before we go off the air. Corey Chavers, who came in as a substitution in the second set, finished with 10 kills in 15 swings, no errors.
Wow.
67%. Matt Hilling, basically similar numbers, played just 2 sets himself. 10 kills, 15 attacks, just 1 error, hit 67%. Offense after that was pretty much spread around, and nobody really had to have a heavy burden. Will Ragland was the top attack man for the Untouchables, had 9 kills. They couldn't get much offensively from the rest of the squad. That's our final here today in our second match on day number 1 of our 4th event of the 2022 season. As the OC Stunners, they improved to 5-2 on the year. 25-17, 25-18, 25-21, sending Chicago to 1-6 overall. For Noah Chest and a much better smelling Nick England. Thank you for showering. I'm Ira Thor. 3 p.m. Pacific. Be with us, Tyrants and Southern Exposure.